Good day, this is the Hawk. This is part 2 of Jacob Zuma. Let me begin before the show begins to reiterate what is proclaimed by YouTube. If they do not like your comments, they will take them off. If you don't like this fact, don't comment on my show. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments, good and bad. Some of you are quite upset that your comments are disappearing. This is not me. I'm here to give a message. And the message is to the world that what is happening in South Africa needs to stop. The reason I'm doing these shows on Zuma, and there will be more, is to show you the absolute and utter corruption of the ANC. It will also show you that if the law does not prevail, you have no law in South Africa. Therefore, it's pointless giving out orders to the people when your own government are the biggest criminals there are. Many people are upset by the fact that we are calling for sanctions in South Africa. One must take into account that the South African government today is an apartheid government, plain and simple. What they complained about before the 1994 elections, they have done in far worse measures. Now, if the government feels that black people are more superior to white people, then there should be no BEE laws. Why do you need a white man to get ahead then? The narrative is just racism. Every man, woman, and child is born with free will to create their own futures. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My parents didn't own 5 cars. Let's begin. In 2005, November 2005, Jacob Zuma was charged and accused of rape. In the subsequent trial, it came to light that in Forest Town in Johannesburg, he raped a 31-year-old woman who was a family friend. Allegedly, this lady was handicapped. She also was HIV positive and an activist. She used an alias in court. But on the way to court, Zuma's followers and Zuma himself were singing, "I will bring my machine gun," which is a threat. Just like he sings, "Kill the Boer, one bullet, one Boer," whenever he's looking for a chant or a way to get his supporters all riled up in his racist nonsense. He quickly went ahead and started telling everybody he is against sexual violence to try and bring his base back to the problems that he was facing in a ploy to take the pressure off him. During the rape trial, he screamed it was consensual. And they brought up this lady's past, sexual past, as a way to discredit her. And in July of 2007, no, in May of 2006, the court found Zuma not guilty of the rape charge. However, in July of 2007, she was granted asylum in the Netherlands and went to live in Europe. How much of it is true that she died overseas, we do not know. When asked, was he aware that she had AIDS, he said he wasn't worried about it because he had a shower afterwards, which inflamed many of the activists and counselors that were trying to stop this epidemic. Jacob Zuma practices polygamy. He has over 18 wives. And at the time he became president, he had a child out of wedlock. This man has absolutely no morals. None at all. In February of 2010, there was allegations that he had a child out of wedlock. Much frowned upon by the Zulu culture, and Zuma admitted it. During his tenure as the president, he traveled extensively through Africa, trying to solve different African conflicts for the Southern African Development Community and the African Union, both in Zimbabwe and Libya. So let's go back to Libya. Last year, a story emerged that Colonel Gaddafi's son was looking for the money that was given to Zuma. Gold, millions of dollars. It was alleged that the Lesotho king stated that Zuma was hiding the money there. Suddenly, Ramaphosa jumped on a plane and flew to Egypt for a secret meeting with Colonel Gaddafi's son. Zuma vehemently denied that he had anything to do with the money, knowing that the Muslim Brotherhood would be looking for it. He had numerous cases against him. In March of 2012, the Supreme Court appeal ordered a review by the Pretoria High Court for decisions by the state prosecutor to drop corruption charges against Zuma. And despite that, he was re-elected the president of the ANC in the conference in 2012, in December 2012. His behavior with the Guptas, where allegations came out where he was so involved with these people that he allowed them to fly their private plane onto a secure military government airbase just so that their guests could go to a family wedding. The man was corrupt to the core. He vehemently denied this too. And to add salt to the wounds, in December 5, 2013, he uttered these poetic words. Fellow South Africa, our beloved Nelson Mandela, the founding president of our democratic nation, has departed. Democratic? You mean criminal nation. Mandela rolled over in his grave there for what he had tried to achieve in all the time he was in jail. Zuma destroyed in 9 years. Chris Hani said it before he was murdered. These elite, criminal, corrupt politicians will destroy the dream that they had of equality. And he was right. I wonder what would happen today if Hani was alive. If Zuma wouldn't be in jail now. Every time Zuma is close to be put in jail, he screams that he will let out the cat. Tell the world what's really going on. Spill the beans. And Ramaphosa goes as purple in color as you can believe. It is highly impossible that Ramaphosa never knew what Zuma was doing the entire time. If anything, he was complicit, knowing that Zuma was taking him down a road with no return. And in fact, that's exactly where you're going. That's exactly where they're going. Let's talk about Nkandla in Natal. It's where he was born. He has like a house there, a private homestead. He spent millions on security upgrades. Millions. The security upgrade was a swimming pool, an amphitheater, a cattle kraal. And when they did the investigation, the public prosecutor took 2 years to prove that these funds were misallocated by Zuma, and this house was built for millions, actually billions. He promised to pay them back, never did. In fact, there was over 782 cases of laundering of money, fraud, and many other things. Corruption. The man has absolutely no morals. Even though, with all the economic problems, Zuma was stealing from everywhere he could. He didn't care about the fact that most of the people that he was supposed to be looking after, who were living in substandard living conditions, he was using the money for his own gratification and his own family's gratification. Instead of building well-planned townships, communal housing, or flats to house people in better places, laying out subdivisions, roads, plumbing, electricity, no. Nothing was done. Nothing. It was just take. Nkandla continues to haunt Zuma right now. Then there's the arms deal, where massive amounts of bribery was taken. But every single time, Zuma is put to the point of being charged, put in jail. Some technicality happens. The judge finds something that they can let him go with. And his supporters all clap, and they're all happy that he got away with it, and they think he's amazing. But all he's done is stolen your children's futures. None of the Guptas are in jail. I'm going to read an article that was written about this. Two opposition parties brought cases regarding the repayment to the Constitutional Court. In March of 2016, and unanimously ruled that the public prosecutor's findings were binding, and that Zuma disregarded the public prosecutor's findings and recommendations to repay the money was a failure to uphold and defend and respect the Constitution, and ordered him to repay the state for some of the upgrades. Earlier that month, his relationship with the Gupta family came to light, and the family promised the government to portfolio to some of these individuals. April, Zuma survives an impeachment motion in the ANC-dominated African Assembly, or the National Assembly. Senior members were wary of Zuma's scandals and asked him to step down. He was once again in the High Court over a decision by the state prosecutor to drop corruption charges against Zuma. A month later, or later that month, the High Court ruled that this decision 2009 by the state prosecutor to drop corruption charges against Zuma were not rational, should have been reviewed and set aside. Zuma tried to petition the Supreme Court to be allowed to appeal the High Court decision. Separately, the NPA also petitioned the Constitutional Court to be allowed to appeal the decision. In September that year, the Constitutional Court denied the NPA's request to appeal, and the NPA then filed an appeal with the Supreme Court. In October 2017, the Supreme Court ruled against Zuma and the NPA's appeal, stating that the corruption charges should not have been dismissed and could be reinstated. In 2018, the NPA did just that and announced that Zuma would face 16 charges relating to racketeering, corruption, money laundering, and fraud. This upset the ANC. There was a referendum on Zuma in August 2016, and the party took the smallest percentage of votes since taking power in '94, and only gathered 60%. less than 60. In October 2016, Nkandla, one of her last acts before stepping down as public prosecutor, was due to release the report of her office's investigation to the allegations that the members of the Gupta family had wielded undue political influence on Zuma and other government officials. Zuma tried to delay this. He later withdrew his challenge, and the report was released later that day. Zuma tried to petition the Supreme Court to be allowed to appeal the High Court decision. Separately, the NPA also petitioned the Constitutional Court to be allowed to appeal the decision. In September that year, the Constitutional Court denied the NPA's request to appeal, and the NPA then filed an appeal with the Supreme Court. In October 2017, the Supreme Court ruled against Zuma and the NPA's appeal, stating that the corruption charges should not have been dismissed and could be reinstated. In 2018, the NPA did just that and announced that Zuma would face 16 charges relating to racketeering, corruption, money laundering, and fraud. This upset the ANC. There was a referendum on Zuma in August 2016, and the party took the smallest percentage of votes since taking power in 1994, and only gathered 60%, less than 60%. In October 2016, Nkandla, a judicial inquiry team, it was recommended that a judicial inquiry team was established to further investigate the allegations mentioned in the report. It did not accuse Zuma of having committed any crimes. But on the heels of this report, a vote of no confidence against Zuma was held at the National Assembly, but it failed. Although Zuma didn't stand for a third term as the president of the ANC, he was vested in the outcome of the December 2017 contest, which was between Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, his former wife, an experienced politician, and the ANC Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, however, campaigned on the promise of cracking down on corruption and encouraged economic growth. He defeated her. He won that contest, or that race, on the heels of the disappointing election outcome and the Constitutional Court's decision on December 29, 2017. And because of the Nkandla scandal and many others, Zuma faced impeachment. The situation came to a head in February 2018. In February 2018, in fact, in a meeting in February the 13th, the ANC recalled Zuma. He had no intentions of resigning. However, he offered his resignation on February the 14th. Ramaphosa was sworn in as the president of South Africa the next day. And still today, Zuma walks free, threatening all the other politicians to expose them because he made them complicit, either by helping them commit larceny, crime, or becoming complicit in hiding what he did. If you like my channel, please subscribe, share, let the world know what's going on in South Africa. Good news today is that Secretary Pompeo of the United States bitterly complained that South Africa had hired Cuban doctors when over 3,000 medical staff are unemployed in South Africa, nurses and doctors. So who took the bribe this time? And the millions of dollars the United States have been sending to South Africa are getting pocketed by these criminal, corrupt politicians as always. Now you can not like me, not like what I have to say, But the entire South Africa is heading down a road to nowhere. Ramaphosa is talking about one world order. So is Malema. That means you will not have an identity. You will be run by other people. You will be run by Europe and the rich elite. Ramaphosa has already sold half the mineral rights to the Chinese. The same Chinese that will not employ you. The same Chinese that are building cities in your country where no black people or white people are allowed. The same Chinese that have over 13 police stations in South Africa. The same Chinese that don't give a rat's butt what you think. They have already stolen your harbors, your mineral rights, and your rights. And once they introduce communism, you will not own anything. They will control you. This is the ANC. You can all tell us America can go to hell. But one day you will be on hand and knee, begging us to come back and save you from the tyranny that is about to come. Just look to the north, to Zimbabwe and Mozambique. What's happened to them? That is your future, I can promise you. And with sanctions that we are bringing, and we bringing them, there will be no investments in Africa, in Southern Africa, until the ANC government, this apartheid government, this criminal, corrupt, inept government is removed. To all South Africans, black and white, colored and Indian, of every tribe, you have to find some solutions. These politicians are pocketing money. Ramaphosa wasn't a billionaire when he came to power, but he is one now. Every single one of these politicians get paid R1 million a year. R1 million a year. The United States is sending $9.4 billion every year. Where's this money? How come you guys are still living in townships? Why are you only getting paid 20 Rand an hour? Something's wrong with this picture. Stop looking at criminals as heroes just because they can get away with murder, rape, and thievery. They're not your heroes. These are the people that will bring you down. This is the Hawk. I'm out of here. Be safe. Let's hope this coronavirus goes away.